been in that situation, but I've had clients that have been there that I've dealt with before, so that's where our knowledge comes from. Yes?
Structure, I mean, when you're talking about this, it reminds me of 4 years ago, it happened to my parents that are elderly that are in Ventura County. And a lady went in and rented and sued because she said she got scolded by hot water, which there's no problem with the plumbing. And to make a long story short, they were covered up to 1.2. So my parents had to go down to Wells Fargo and take $400,000 out of their account and give it to this attorney that was representing the tenant in there. And that just, and I had told my parents, get structured, and they didn't listen to me. And it cost them $400,000.
That's expensive.
And they looked into her, and that was on her 9th lawsuit. She had gone from house to house and made that as a living to go sue, and she keyed on elderly people, like older people that had the property free and clear.
Yeah.
And this just happened close to 4 years ago.
Yeah, running credit checks. I mean,
Yeah.
I will never
It happened
rent
to
to
my
an attorney.
parents.
Never rent to an attorney.
No.
Commercial, residential, never rent to one.
Yeah.
My experience, they'll turn around, they'll sue you right away because they want to pay rent.
Yeah, and it devastated my parents. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, to go down and get $400,000 when they worked so hard their whole life, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That scenario that you were telling about the contractor
Yeah.
wanting out and the people buying, don't they also have to protect themselves against mechanic liens? And how do you do that? Because a title company, you could ask for the endorsement, but what title company is going to give the endorsement for mechanic liens? So isn't that a pretty unsafe
Oh, absolutely. it is.
scenario to go into?
And I explained that to her as well, but she was willing to take that risk on. Because it's just one of those things for her where there was so much in the deal. She was seeing dollar signs at first, and I walked her down from that. You know? Yeah, you're probably going to make money in this deal, but you just don't abandon all caution and run head first into it. Because that's how attorneys make their money.
So how was that property sold with the contractor wanting out in the middle of?
It wasn't a contractor, it was a do-it-yourself contractor, but we didn't know if he'd ever hired anybody, so we just sought indemnification from him for any claims that were brought at a later date.
Oh, you got an indemnification
From the seller.
from the seller, and you can do that.
I can do whatever I want. My purchase and sale agreement, I'm willing to buy your property
And
under my
that's
terms.
that's totally legal, and you're totally clear. And-
Sure.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Contract.
All right.
There's no contractor here, he was being his own, well, he wasn't even being an owner, he was doing all the work on his own. That's what raised red flags for me to begin with, whether or not he pulled the permits, and whether or not they'd be trying. One was set to expire, I think, in a week, and he said, you gotta see if you can get this permit renewed for this property before you go down there. So we had a number of contingencies built in to that agreement that was required. She's closing on it, I think, sometime this month. Yeah. Maybe I'll get more business out of it. All right, so here's what you want. You got yourself as the investing, you've got the legal, you've got tax, and you see they're overlapping. Where Anderson works is right here in the middle. Okay, this is where the relevant information is. Where you take your business, you take legal, you take tax, and you put us right there in that sweet spot. So many people operate, you know, in these other circles. They got some of the legal, but then they don't have the tax, or maybe they bring the tax in, and so they're operating just in the tax quadrant down here. And so they're getting tax advice for their investing, but they're not having the legal advice for their investing that they need because the CPA doesn't understand it. So we bring it all in-house to address this issue. What we have is a platinum program, wherein we offer a strategy session for you where we'll go through and help you strategize on your individual situation, what it is you're doing, if you're a wholesaler, if you're a flipper, if you're a buy and hold type of investor. We'll look at those. Then we'll design a customized blueprint for you, where we'll go through your situation and draw up the boxes. Okay, because I'm a visual person, we like to create boxes because most people understand it when they look at it. This is what this entity's for, this is where it should be filed, this is how it should be used, and this is where the money should flow. You have the ability with our Platinum program for unlimited attorney consultations. Right? So you can go up, you can call us up at any time, and you can speak to anyone at Anderson. Okay, if you would like that type of support, we provide that. You also have unlimited tax questions via our web portal. So we have this Platinum program, If you become a member of it, you can actually send in your questions. So these are where they're typed in, and the CPA is assigned to the web portal each day, and they respond to nothing but tax-related questions from our Platinum clients. So you get your tax questions answered. We have an online retirement coach, where a lot of people we notice have problems with retirement planning the right way to make sure that you've saved enough. So we give you access to that, where we can run through and stress test what it is that you're doing. We'll do a wealth analysis as well with you, or if you'd like, you can sit down with someone on our financial planning side, and they will then do a wealth analysis to determine if you're on target to hit what you want to hit from a retirement standpoint. We have tax webinars every month that you have exclusive access to. They're on different topics. We go through that. We have this extensive Q&A database. These are only available on the Platinum site. So on our website, you log in as a Platinum member. You gain access to this information. Lots of videos I've created, my other partners have created. We have legal forms as well. A lot of them are California state specific that you have access to, that you can use in your investing. And then if you become a Platinum member with Anderson, then you have access to discounts on our workshops. So we run monthly workshops in Las Vegas and around the country. So they're either 3-day asset protection programs, you take this and you put it on steroids, and we talk for 3 days on this type of stuff. Or you can come into Las Vegas and we'll talk on specific matters such as tax or business, running your business, making sure that you're doing all the right things and bookkeeping for it. And so those we run out of our Las Vegas office. The 3-day events we typically run out of, we'll have it at a hotel, and we have them all over. I was just down in San Diego in March. Now, these are some of the people at Anderson that you would work with if you want to become a Platinum member. A lot of them are attorneys, or they're CPAs, or they are EAs. We have a lot of tax attorneys as well. We got two. Here's an LLM, and Eric Day, Chief Counsel of the IRS, who's an attorney. He works with us. I found that on our tax side, it's easier to work with attorneys than CPAs, because CPAs typically don't have that much of a personality, so we tend to go more with the attorneys. And so you see that there's more attorneys in our firm than there are CPAs. But they do a great job in working with our clients to help reduce the taxes.
If you recommend for the lease-to-own trust that we were talking about, as far as the person that you're talking to call there?
Seth Perlman. And then, so the question is, how much does it cost for all this? And so what I like to do is, just think about it in terms of what you've currently spent on attorneys, right? If you work with an attorney, what do they charge? $3.50 an hour, if not more, in California. And you work with them, you spend maybe 6 hours a year. So that's a half an hour a month. Now you think to yourself, well, I don't spend a half hour a month with my attorney. Well, that's what it averages out to be. But if you're like one of my clients, she called up her attorney one time to schedule a consultation, and he billed her 30 minutes just to schedule for her to come in to meet him at his office. She got a bill for that. Then she went to pick up her documents, and he charged her 3 hours to box up all of her legal documents that he held. He never gave them to her originally. He said, I'm going to keep these for safekeeping. And then to get them back, it cost her $900 to get those out of his office. Right? That's the problem. That's why people do not like attorneys, and they avoid attorneys. So if you spend 6 hours on an annual basis, you're probably going to spend $2,100 a year with an attorney, especially if you're a real estate investor, getting your questions answered. Where should I set up this LLC? Should I use a land trust? Should I use a wholesale trust? And then you throw a CPA on top of it. They're going to charge you, what, $250 an hour for a CPA to look at your information, get your questions answered, if you could write off certain things. And so you add $750 onto that. And then on top of that, are you receiving information that really pertains to your business? And so what is the cost of not actually getting relevant information? Because then you make a mistake and you get audited, and you have to pay too much in taxes now because you weren't withholding enough because of the way you were classified, or you had the improper structure. And so you add it all up, this stuff can amount to probably $2,800, $3,000 a year is what you'll spend in tax and legal if you're an active real estate investor. This is what I've seen just from working with my clients. And it's because you're trying to gain access to information. When you want to sit down with an attorney, you want to get your questions answered, you call them up, they're going to charge you. That's just what attorneys do. They won't even talk to you or answer your emails unless they've got you on retainer. I mean, how often can you call up an attorney and say this? Hey, you know what? I'm thinking about using you, but before I use you, I want to ask you a few questions for free. Does that happen?
No.
No. what happens is the gatekeeper will tell you, Mr. Jones would like to talk with you, and yes, he's familiar with those types of matters. When can I set you up? And oh, by the way, do you have a credit card? And then you get set up for a consultation. They send you out what is hourly bill rate is going to be, and what either you accept it or you don't. And so people many times then do not take action because they can't get the answers to their questions, or B, if they do take action, it could be wrong. Because the way you approach it is, I'm not going to contact the attorney now, I'll contact him when I need him. And then it's more expensive when you do that. So what we offer at Anderson, as you saw there, we give you all of this, that platinum program. You have the ability to talk to us, to call up, set up strategy sessions with us. It's a $2,500 one-time sign-up fee to sign up for our platinum service, and then it's $35 a month to maintain it. So if you call us up, you can spend 4 hours on a monthly basis with us, and you'll never pay more than $35 a month. But because I'm here, so everybody that didn't make it because you're out enjoying the sun today, I'm going to waive the sign-up fee. Okay? If you want to sign up, I will knock off the $2,500 sign-up fee. You can start at $35 a month today if you'd like to do that. You can talk to Denise. We have an agreement in the back you'll sign up for, and then what will happen is you'll be contacted within a week, and we'll set up your initial strategy session with you, where we can go through your situation to see what type of investor you are, and then we'll set up another consultation where we're going to go through, if we can't handle during that one, or we're going to design out a blueprint for you. So we'll say, all right, based upon you doing this, this is what we're going to create for you as well, or if you don't want to use us, you can use somebody else. We'll design it all out, and then you'll have the information, and then you'll have the comfort knowing you talk to people who are doing exactly what it is you're doing when it comes to real estate investing. You're tapping into our knowledge.
What's the time limit that you have?
There is no time limit.
Oh, I like that.
The only time limit is, the only limitation on it is this. You can quit at any time, and I can fire you at any time. Which has happened probably on 5 occasions. We have been abused by people before where they'll say, well, you said unlimited consultations, and I need to understand how to utilize Microsoft Word to format a legal document. That's not included, all right? It has to be reasonable. You have to understand this stuff, what we're looking at here. But if you do quit, because I've had people do this before, where they'll use us, they'll get a ton of time out of us, and then they'll cancel their program, and then they'll try to restart it later on at $35 a month. It doesn't work that way. If you do that, that's $2,500 to restart the program, because it's got to be fair on both sides.
Yeah.
And it's so cheap, and the reason why it's so inexpensive as well is that we want to build your trust first. The way we build the trust in our clients is through educating them. And then once you see the value that we bring to the table and what we can show you, many times people become our clients. And so it's our way of getting the client up to the level where we need them. Yes.
And there is a difference between personal taxes and business taxes. This is really for business taxes that you're talking about, not personal taxes.
We could answer personal, yeah, any questions on the web portal. But more is going to be on the business side, how to deduct things correct.
Let me be more specific in my case.
Yes.
We've gone through Patrick, James,
Yes.
$79 per month for personal taxes. That's not really, in my mind, business taxes.
Pat's program is different than ours.
So what I wanted to say here is, probably most people are in that situation, but to pass at $35 a month and not have to pay $25, we'll be back there signing up for that.
Yep, it's the thing. One other thing I want to show you, we brought 2 books with us. I wrote a book, titled Asset Protection for Real Estate Investors. Ooh, wonder what this one's about, right? So I go through all the creative strategies that I'm talking about here with land trusts and limited liability companies and corporations. I lay them out in here. It's an easy to read book. As you can probably tell, I like to tell through stories. And so I give lots of examples and diagrams in the back of this book. If you're new to real estate investing, or even if you're an experienced real estate investor, this I think is an awesome book. And there's nothing out there like this. I can just tell you that because when I sat down to write this book several years ago, it took me 3 years to get it out. I went and I tried to buy everything I could on Amazon. And nobody that I've found has put it together in the way I have when it comes to it, because I write it from the standpoint of being an investor. Okay? The legalese, all that stuff, I don't like to hear it myself. I don't like to read stuff that's written that way. I want stuff that's written in my language. And so that's what I've done here with this book. My partner Toby, he wrote a book called Tax-Wise Business Ownership. This is on its 3rd edition, I believe we're at right now, 3rd edition. Yeah, it was just released this year. So if you want to know what to write off and how to write it off, this book is, I'll get to you in just a second. This book is great for that. I brought several copies with us. The books are $20 each, but if you'd like, at the event, we'll do 2 for $50. Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, you got that?
That $35 for the platinum program?
Okay, all right, so we've got some right there in the back.
I was just gonna say, are the books on Amazon?
The books, yeah, if you want them on Kindle, you can download them on Kindle or on Kindle.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
and Amazon, yeah. Yes.
And then with that 35 platinum program, if you need like a LLC or a land trust on one of your properties, does that include?
Doesn't include that, no.
Okay,
We,
so-
we can talk to you about it, what you should do, but that would be an additional charge if you want us to actually set up the entities for you.
Okay, and is there like a breakdown of prices per item, like for instance, Wyoming LLC and a land trust, is there like a breakdown of what
So
charges?
average entity price is $1,500 plus filing fees. That's what we
For land
charge.
trust?
For an LLC.
Oh,
For a land trust, you're gonna be looking at $750 if you're setting up an LLC, or $1,200 without the LLC. And so what we do when we set up the entities, they're not form docs, number one, custom drafted. When they come out to you, everything's been done, taxpayer identification number's been found or elected for you, drafted all, they have little flags that say sign here, sign here, sign here. If you're setting up in nevada or Wyoming, we'll actually put you in contact with either Bank of America or Wells Fargo to help you get a bank account set up with those two. Those are two institutions that we have a relationship with.
Because I'm just trying to figure out, because I had a Wyoming LLC, and I dissolved it, but I spoke with somebody that I can reinstate
Can you
it.
state it?
So I was just trying to think of the pros and cons with reinstating that.
Well, I think it'd be cheaper, well, I assume it'd be cheaper just to start with a new one.
Mhm,
The second issue, the reason why I would start with a new one over reinstatement
mhm.
is that depending on how you set up the first time, if you didn't have anonymity, all your information's gonna be out there. So it just might be better to start.
Plus, I had a partner at the time that I did it.
That's all the information I need to
Yeah,
know.
yeah, so
Okay?
that's why
Yeah. I mean,
asked for
partnerships,
it.
I talk about those quite a bit at our 3-day, partnerships should be avoided at all costs,
Yeah,
okay?
you should have your own LLC and
Correct.
I've learned my lesson.
Yeah, I mean, partnerships are like marriages, okay? When you start in business with somebody else, you're in the honeymoon phase and everything's great, and you don't talk, many people, when they get married, they don't talk about the important issues, how to raise the kids, what the expectations are of each spouse, sex, all the things that need money, right?
That's true.
Those are the things that people get divorced on. I've been married for 24 years. Those were handled before my wife and Tracy and I married. Right? But I talk to people that have been through divorces, I'll ask them, you talk about this and this, no, didn't talk about that. And you think about it, many times you don't because those are uncomfortable. You have to go into the uncomfortable if you're going to go into a partnership or a relationship with someone to make sure that you both see eye to eye on it. And I treat businesses the same way I do personal relationships. If you're going to work with somebody, you got to get to that point.
So also you do, like if somebody has issues with past taxes from properties that you used to own that was foreclosed on, does your company actually go in and fix that and research it? But because you're in Vegas, it's hard for somebody to come in and spend that time and
Okay,
fix that.
so something like that, I don't want to create the impression that that's covered
Right,
in
no, I know that'd be
$35. Yeah.
separate, yeah.
Yes, we do tax controversy work, we defend people on audits. Eric Day is the person that handles all of that for us, or Scott Estelle.
Okay.
So this just covers the educational information.
When you have questions, you can call, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
It's
times?
not any, what's that?
What are your hours?
Hours are 9 to 5.
Where at?
Pacific.
Oh, Pacific.
Yeah, we have offices in Washington and Vegas. You call into the Las Vegas office on the 800 number that you call in on, but it's all part of one system.
7 days a week or 5 days?
Oh, no, 5 days a week. I'm an attorney. Yeah, we do have, our Las Vegas office is open on Saturdays. What, Denise, what are they, for what time?
9 to 4, I believe, but I believe they're extending those hours.
Yeah, on Saturdays, we do have office hours in Las Vegas.
I thought only attorneys work till 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're lucky that you're there.
Depends if you love what you do.
And Clint, you've also got accounting, because we've got QuickBooks online through Anderson that they have their accountants work with us on. So you have that as a service as well.
And we have the full gamut of tax and legal services. What we do not do is we do not draft contracts for people. You always need your own local attorney, okay, to represent you in legal transactions. We're not going to handle that. We're on the business side. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't look at an agreement and tell you whether or not where your issues lie. Like my example, my client, And I said, hey, before you sign this, you've got some issues here that need to be addressed with that seller. That's where our expertise really shines. But if you say, Clint, I need to draft an agreement, I won't do it. It's not my forte. It's not drafting. I know that. So you always got to have a local attorney present to help you. Unlawful detainer actions, you got to have an attorney, things like that. But just make sure they're a real estate attorney. Interview.
Does your company collect on judgments that,
Nope.
no?
Don't do that. If it's outside of our, we're very narrow in what we practice. Tax asset protection mainly for small business owners, real estate investors, and high net worth individuals. That's all we do.
Do you know anybody?
No, I don't. Yeah, we're just not, we don't play well with other attorneys because we work against them for the most part. We take assets and wealth beyond, we put it beyond the reach of their clients. And so that's, always been a problem.
When you set up these entities, and like you have the Wyoming LLC and all,
Yes.
but then don't you still have to pay, like for an LLC, the $800 per
Yes.
year for California? And then you have to pay for Wyoming
Well,
LLC? Is
yes
that
and-
true?
It is true, it is true. Or there's ways you can set it up so you don't have to.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah, been doing it for years. And
And,
we've actually had it audited before, and we've won an audit with the Franchise Tax Board. Yeah. Which, when you deal with the Franchise Tax Board, I mean, I love it, we've had conversations with them before, your publication states this, this, and this, well, you can't rely on our publications. Okay, so what are we supposed to rely on, whatever we tell you? That's interesting, but there's ways to do it. It's between a combination of land trust, Wyoming limited liability companies, and a personal property trust or a living trust to filter out your interest on the back end back in California. And you have to have a California management company as well. So you can't be managing anything out of state, it just needs to flow out of state. You want to limit your footprint here and limit your connection through a California. So you have one entity in California that you have to have. But been doing it for years.
So, can I ask one more question, and then I'll leave you alone? If you have the Wyoming LLC,
Yes.
and you have the land trust, do you put in the LLC into the land trust or land trust into the LLC?
The land trust will go into the limited liability company. So Untitled, you only see the land trust. People don't know where the land trust is located. So if something occurred on the property, they sue the trust. Whoever owns the trust is liable. That's why you're not the owner of the trust. It's the LLC that becomes liable for that obligation. So we're insulating ourselves from that. That's why I put one property per LLC. So if something happens, the only thing I stand to lose is that one property.
So even though it's Wyoming, you would have to have however many properties you have.
That's the way I was structured,
Yeah,
yes.
so if you did those both at the same time, you'd do the land trust first, and then you would quit
Correct.
claim it or grant deed it into the
Sign
LLC.
it, yeah, you
Sign
would sign it over.
Okay.
It used to be that I would group properties per LLCs. This is about 8 months ago. I told clients, oh, you can group them. And then a client came up, well, he said this, we're actually in front of the room, and said, well, Clint, what do you do? I was like, oh, got you. I said, I use one property per LLC. Then the question is, why would you tell us to do something that you're not doing yourself? I said, well, that's a good point. And, it's cost. And I said, the more LLCs you create, the more expensive it can become for someone to create that. Whereas this is my own time, my own work, I put into it, so I can do it myself. And so, but then I changed. I said, when we have a package, we can draft as many LLCs as you need for a set price. So it just depends on where you're at.
If you were grouping, would you say there's a dollar amount, like maybe no more than 200,000 value on the group?
So what I would always recommend is not to go more than $250,000 in equity per LLC, $250,000 to $500,000, no more than 4 properties. Because that's or 4 doors, the way I look at it. Not properties, doors, 4 doors. 4 doors is 4 tenants. So I wouldn't risk it any more than that.
Per LLC.
Per LLC. And that's what I tell people. But then I also appreciate the fact that some people, they look at that and they think it's too complicated. My parents, I don't know how many doors they have per LLC, maybe 8 to 10 doors per LLC, because my mom refuses to open up the amount of bank accounts that she would need to accurately run it. Okay, I get it. That's a choice she made.
There's another like LLC thing that multiple entities in.
It's called a Series LLC. Series LLC is a great tool, but it's not available in California. It's only available if you're in Texas, Oklahoma, Nevada, Illinois, and a few other states. Yeah. And so I use them in those states, as long as you own property in those states, but I would not use them here. Wyoming doesn't have it either. It's, so you go where the property is located for that. Yeah.
Will you autograph our books?
Yeah, I'll be around for about another 5 minutes. I do have to go, so I gotta go to the airport, but I will autograph them.
So I just want to thank Clint very much for showing up here. You have saved us all thousands of dollars and solved a huge problem for me on the lease to own. So thank you very much. I will be back.
You bet.
There you go.
That's your offer for the $35 a month, is that today only, or?
Yeah, today only. And always cancel.
You have to go at 25 to make that.
Yeah.
Good deal. I signed up. So,
All right, I grab another one right here.
okay, so Clint's gonna be here for a little bit, but not very long. He's not gonna go downstairs, but he's gotta get out of here. We will see you back here in June and in July. Thank you very much. Give me a call if you need any help.